Hello, Charlie Gladstone here, and welcome to my third and final part of the online tutorial series, How to Change and Why You Must. This is the first time I've done anything like this, and it is not, as you can see, quite a News at 10 production thing. I'm lit solely by the Welsh sky over there. My camera, which is over there, is my phone, and it's on a really shonky old octopusy kind of tripod. And behind me, I have actually I'm rather proud of this, my homemade tie-dyed indigo sheet that I made in a vat of natural indigo last weekend. So please forgive me. I hope nonetheless that the contents make up for the lack of production values. This is aimed at all sizes of business, but particularly it's aimed at small business. I think even if you're a sole trader or a lone entrepreneur or a freelancer, there is a huge amount here for you. Now, why me? Well, I have been self-employed for about 30 years, over 30 years. I've set up a large number of businesses. I have worked very hard every day for those 30 years. I've had failures, I've had successes, and most of all, I think I've probably been good at changing and adapting. I think that's probably been one of my main skills. So these are hard-learned lessons. Today, I have about 100 or 120, perhaps 130, maybe even employees. And most of my businesses have been hit very hard by the corona lockdown. I'm recording this in early May 2020, and there is no doubt that we are in a very difficult economic time. I mean, I think I barely need to say that. There's going to be a catastrophic recession. But with this recession comes an opportunity. Normally, I'm a great advocate of change because I think that inertia is slow death, and that if you want to keep up with the competition or indeed move ahead of the competition, you have to change every single day. And the first two parts of this series have given lots of lessons and specific examples of how to change and why you must. In this, I want to talk much more about this virus and how we can transform ourselves because of it. Essentially now, I think that we have two choices. One is to give up or remain the same, and to my mind, those are pretty much the same thing. Or the other is to re-energize ourselves and our business with notions of transformation. There are huge opportunities for us, and we can all survive, definitely, if we think positively and we think about how we can transform things and make them better after this. There are endless cases of people setting up businesses during recessions, and people often say, indeed, that that is the best time to set them up. I was intrigued to learn that out of the ashes of the enormously painful meltdown in Iceland, a guy set up a company called Maniga, which was designed to try to make the process of banking better. And now he has 90 million users around the world. So, that's a very good example of someone who saw an opportunity from the ashes of collapse and despair and made it into something hugely profitable. Fascinatingly, in the worlds of art, a lot of the greatest artists ever have essentially made their best work or their work altogether because they've been faced with disaster. I mean, I'm intrigued by Matisse and have always loved his work. I think that his cutouts are probably his best stuff, actually. And they were only made as a result of him having a nasty cancer and then becoming bed and chair bound and being unable to physically paint. And he was a very physical painter. So he took to paper cuts. And really, if you think of Matisse, I think, I certainly think of his paper cuts. Indeed, Frida Kahlo would not be an artist that we're aware of had she not been involved in a really nasty accident. She was a polio victim as a child, in fact. And then just as she was about to go off to medical school, I think, or she perhaps had just started medical school, she was involved in a really bad bus accident. And that made her think again about what she could do while she was recuperating. And she went back to her childhood hobby of art And the rest, of course, is history. Even Cecil Beaton is someone who had a stroke and learnt to draw with his left hand when he could no longer use his right hand. And although they're not his most famous works, I think his left hand drawings are some of his most human and most beautiful. So, again, out of the ashes of disaster comes something really, really special in art and business. So I think just remind yourself of that. All is very much not lost. I just want to talk a little bit about what we're doing with our businesses as a result of this lockdown. We have a couple of cafes and farm shops and a pub, and between them, those businesses employ, I think, something in the region of 70 people. The farm shop in particular employs about 40 of those, and we closed all of those businesses to the public before we actually had to. Boris Johnson said on a Monday evening that he advised people not to go to cafes and pubs, and the next morning we closed them down. But we have not, on any level, given up. And in fact, I think the entire team have become more energized by the notion that we have adopted, which is that we are going to completely and really radically transform those businesses. So we've started with our farm shop. There we have moved every single bit of furniture out. We're redecorating. We have got a new executive chef in place as a consultant to completely do our menu. And that menu will account for about 50% of our weekly turnover. We have employed new people in merchandising. We have completely wiped the slate with the 1,000 stock keeping units that we had. We are not having anything that we had before just because we had it. We're starting all over again. And that is going to be, when it reopens, and I don't know when it is going to, a radically different business. And it was ready. We had somehow, it just feels like we had to do this. So this is a wonderful sort of almost godsend opportunity for us to make change. As soon as we finish the farm shop, and it's a big job, that we're going to move on to doing exactly the same with our pub. Although our pub won the AA's Best Pub in Wales award this year, we now feel that also is due a transformation. And so we're going to do that with that. We're going to change all sorts of things. I am sure that out of this are going to come some wonderful, exciting and heartwarming changes for the Good Life experience. But also, as well as transforming our businesses so that they are in completely different shape after the virus has passed or its peak has passed and life goes back to being at least vaguely sociable. We've been doing 3 things during this lockdown which have really given us an energy and I think given the teams real purpose and hope. And I think that's been very useful. The first of those was a project called 50/50, where we decided that we would support the creative freelance industry by employing 50 people on fully paid jobs over the course of 50 days. We had 700 applicants for that before we had to close it down due to the sheer weight of applicants. And I'm pretty sure that we will be employing many more than 50 people, and it's certainly going to go on for more than 50 days. We've had some absolutely fantastic work from it. And that's given the teams and, of course, the freelancers, again, a sense of purpose and optimism and hope. We also transformed, just before the lockdown was imposed on us, our pub into a community shop. Our pub is in the middle of a village, and that village has a wonderful, brilliant post office and a lot of other great small businesses in it. But it doesn't have a butcher or a baker or a grocery store of any scale. And so we set up a proper shop there. It took us 36 hours. Our entire team broke their backs lifting fridges, cleaning floors. We rented some hand wash stations. Our butchers worked overtime. People started baking bread. And it's been a big success. I mean, it hasn't been a financial success, I'll be honest. I don't think it was ever intended to be. It will have cost us a little bit of money at the end of all this. But it's been such a good thing for our community who have been supporting it in quite substantial numbers. I mean, several 100. I'd say 400-500 people have been shopping in there each week. And of course, it's given our team energy, and that's very important. And then finally, we have introduced some free tickets for our festival, the Good Life Experience, and we will be giving some free holidays at our Glendy cabins and cottages for frontline workers. And by frontline workers, I don't just mean the brilliant NHS people, but I mean, van drivers and shopkeepers, the people who we've all begun to understand the importance of in the last few weeks. And we've also introduced a pay what you can scheme to the Good Life Experience for people who have found themselves in financial hardship. So those are some things that we've been doing. And really the moral of those stories, which I'm very proud of, is that you need an energy and a positivity, and that what you do at a time like this is really up to you, how you react. We are not in control of our destinies, but we are in control of how we behave. And I think that the way that you live life is the same as the way that you should operate business, so that you feel that what you're doing is the right thing every single day. Anyway, thanks very much for joining me. And this is the longest one I've done. I'm sorry. I hope I haven't rambled on. I'm really grateful to you for joining me. Thanks very much, and I hope I will see you soon. Bye.